Hi everyone. I'll be talking especially about sequels in the App Store today. And first I'll introduce myself. I'm a co-founder of Rain Design. We've been making casual games since 2009 for mobile devices mostly. And we're based in Shanghai. And we're a group of 10 people from 7 different countries, so quite an international team. And I'll be focusing on our game Pig Rush, which we're planning to do a sequel on. So Pig Rush is an infinite runner game which was released on the App Store in 2009 first. Right now we have 255,000 active users monthly. We have over 4 million downloads, and we've been featured in the App Store in many countries, and still in the top 500 without much marketing, which is not bad without any paid user acquisition, I guess. So we're in the midst of making a sequel for that one. Has anyone here thought about making a sequel for their game? Right. So why would you want to make a sequel for your game? It's because you want to extend the lifespan of your game. Sequels, any user you have is ultimately going to quit your game, is going to exit your game, and sequels are one of the ways to extend the lifespan. Okay, quickly about what I'll cover. So first of all, let's take a look at the App Store and see how many sequels are there in the top 100 right now, how many original games that have sequels are in the top 100, and then we'll go on and take a look at types of sequels and mainly what strategies of sequels are good for what type of games. And then we'll go back to Pig Rush and see what we'll be doing. Okay, so here the gray this is like from this month, and the gray ones are sequels, or the types that I'll be covering, the types of sequels, and the orange ones would be originals that have any sort of sequel. And this is the paid top 100. And this is kind of like how it goes down into the different types that I'll be identifying later on. And this is the top 100 free game category. So you have a similar distribution there. And here are the different types as well. And I think that's, and here you see it even more clear distribution if you take out the freemium games in the free category. So actually, this is a quite big number for the top 100 of the type of sequels in both categories, and they're kind of similar in the distribution. Okay, so let's go and take a look at the types of sequels I identified and which ones are right for what model of game. All right, so the first one would be don't sequel, update your game. This would be to release incremental changes only as updates to the original game. The second one would be sequelized game mechanics. I know that's a word that I made up. So you could also say spin-offs or franchised games. This is to brand the game mechanics and re-release them as different games. Third one would be, create an actual sequel. Your game, point 2. And the last one is themed sequels. This is to release themed versions of your game or collaborative versions with other brands. Okay, so those are the 4 sequels we're going to go and take a look at, and we're going to take a look at examples and why one sequel is better for one type of game or the other. Okay, so first, don't sequel, update. These are all games that are older than 1 year, and they have not released a sequel. They are doing incremental changes to their existing game. And the first idea that you get is that it's pretty much equal. You get free and you get paid apps for this strategy. And let's take a closer look. First, you have your typical free-to-play game. And for the free-to-play games that follow this model, is those games are not consumable. They have a community. These games have viral features. That means a sequel would split up the user base, which is bad for when players benefit from the community in their gameplay. So the focus lies on user retention, retain users by creating updates to the original game. And some of the people actually that make these games feel quite strongly about this. So for instance, the creator of Subway Surfer says never release a sequel for a free-to-play game. Okay, so let's take a look at the other apps. The other apps that haven't actually released a sequel are mostly premium casual games. And interesting enough, if you look at when they were first released, they're all kind of older games. They're all been like a lot of them have been released 2009 even, or early 2010. Okay, so these are games that have accumulated a big user base. So it's important to, a big accumulated user base is huge. It's a really like something that you can work with a lot. So keeping this user base happy with updates in the game is essential. Episodical word-of-mouth marketing. This is another thing. Instead of creating one big release, by adding ongoing updates, even if you don't have active players, if they see an update and they install it, they will play it one more time, and there's another chance of them playing it and their friends seeing it and the friends finally saying, okay, I'll try out this game. So this is actually an interesting strategy. Another thing is App Store ranking algorithms. I've read a lot of times that these ranking algorithms might favor all-time hits, so that's something to think about. So with this strategy, it's possible to sustain a steady rank over a long time. So that's something that the Doodle Jumps, for instance, that's their goal, to kind of like sustain a certain rank. And here we have another quote. What you see now is pretty much Doodle Jump 3 already, but it's been fit into one single product. So a lot of these types, as I said here, it's like it's good for early launch premium casual games to do this type of strategy as well. Okay, so the next one would be Sequelized Mechanics or spin-offs. These ones are interesting. You don't find any in the top 100 at least that do this in the paid category. You see a lot of characteristics here already. So one would be using the same names. So you have like Bubble Mania, Jewel Mania, and Fruit Mania, or all these here have makeup in their name. All these here have dash in their name. So that's one thing. You use the same visual style, and you use branded icons. The character in the story in each of these apps is different. This is an interesting strategy for free-to-play games that don't have viral features in them. This is like people that play the games by themselves, for instance. So what I already said, these are games with strong game mechanics. They have less strong character or story behind them. And the most important thing about this strategy, it's about cross-promotion. Before the user exits your game, you can like promote the other games in one of the games that the user is playing, so that they can go and download those. Also, if any users is going to search for your game, the other ones will show up because you have the similar name. The branded icons will assure to the user a similar gameplay experience, and they might as well download it. So it's user retention on a brand level That's what you get with this type of strategy. Okay, so the next one would be actual sequels. This is most likely a strategy for premium casual games, not really for free-to-play games, as we already figured out. So this is for games that want to change their either want to change the monetization strategy or update their game mechanics or their visual style, and not just a little bit, but like with a big jump, kind of. This is also for games that have been acquired by a new company. You see this all the time. The moment the game changes, like the company, then you'll get an update. And of course, this is to create buzz. New releases are more likely to be covered in the media or featured in the App Store. So this strategy works if you want to create a new momentum for your game. All right, so the last one would be themed sequels. So here we have two subtypes, really. One would be collaborative sequels, like themed, and the other one would be themed sequels by themselves. Okay, so interesting enough, most of these are actually always paid. So let's focus on the collaborative sequels first. So obviously the games that are popular enough to be approached by possible partners, you can see all of these are quite popular. And then you have games whose mechanics lend themselves for branding. So we have one game which is a Spot the Difference game, and we're being approached by possible partners all the time who want to feature their content in that game. The last one we did was for Benfica, the Portuguese football club. You want to seek a brand that you want your game to be associated with, of course, because you will get pull from the brand's own fans back to your original game. So this approach can benefit both parties and can give you access to a new user base. And and it's mostly for premium casual games, actually. Okay, so the next one would be themed sequels. So here you have the same character, the same game mechanics, but it's put into a new world, into a new story, maybe even. So they have the same character in a new world. Yep. Most of these games are less complex than the original. They're kind of like a little extra gift for the community. And they are often released around times of the year where the app sales spikes, which means there is a critical launch window for the sequel. You have to prepare this early in time, like ahead of time. And it always is a new chance to get featured. Apple likes to feature games for the Christmas season or for the Easter season. And users like to, it's another chance to get to do cross promotion as well. You can, around the Christmas season, promote a Christmas feature, a Christmas themed version of your game. So this themed sequels create momentum as well, and they strengthen your IP. It's a way to strengthen your character as well. Okay, so the next one would be to talk about what we'll do with PigRush. So if we take a look at PigRush has an accumulated user base because it's old. It was first launched in 2009. It is a premium casual game, although we have tried out different monetization strategies, and we want to do major updates to the game mechanics and the visual style. So this would kind of like make sense to either go with the actual sequel or to not do a sequel and just update. So what we're gonna plan to do is to create an actual sequel with don't sequel conditions. So we're gonna release it under the same app ID to keep the original user base. Okay, so how else can we extend the lifespan for the pig? One thing which you see on the program booklet on the back cover, what Big Fish covered earlier, different platforms. the next thing would be, oh yeah, and we have, Pig Rush on the Mac App Store. We have it on Android. We have it even on we had it on Facebook. So we're trying to cover a lot of different platforms. And as we speak, Pig Rush is ranking #1 in the Mac App Store before Angry Birds. The next thing would be merchandise. A lot of people always say that merchandise should be something that you start thinking about when your game is really, really big. For us, it has actually worked all the way already. We've been creating little stuffed pigs, and we've been giving it away to our users for almost like a year or two now, and they love it, especially the kids, of course. Okay, so the next thing would be think about, like, really get a dialogue going with your community. So while we're thinking about creating a sequel, we're communicating with our community, and we're asking them, like, what do you want to see in the new sequel? Like, where should the pig go? What should the pig be doing? And we're creating posters. And we actually told our community, you're going to get a printed poster if you tell us what you think what should be in the sequel as well. So here's a few posters. And just get a sip of water. And then we'll get back ideas from the users as well. And that's it. That's my talk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think we have time for like 1 or 2 questions. So.
Thanks. Name's Michael Huang. I'm actually from Help University in Malaysia. Psychology student, wanted to take game design. My question to you, the thing about sequels in games these days is that the trilogy trend. Are you aware of the trilogy trend? The thing is, for example, if I were to choose like Mass Effect or Dead Space, just as an example of sequels. Now, they normally would say that the first game will be really good, the second one will be somewhat mediocre, and the third one will be a flop. So, in that trend, in that sense, what is your opinion based on that?
Right. So I've seen that trend with movies, right? But looking at the App Store and actually analyzing the trends, you get depending on what type of game your game is. Like, I think I would try to follow those different strategies based on what type your game is, and then you do see a lot of games that keep their originals on the store and that have several sequels, and the last one is the only one that's really doing well. And then you do also see games that just keep the latest version of the game on the store and like not and remove the older versions, right? And then you also see games that stop updating their earlier versions, but they keep them on the store. So you see a lot, and there's a lot of different, and I mean, like, the rank kind of like tells you how successful the strategy is, and I've seen that work for games with sequels. So I don't know if that helps you.
I see. I'll ask more later. Thank you so much.
One more last question.
I want to ask, when you announced you will have a sequel to your user base, did the activity to purchase or continue playing your game decrease while they wait for a new sequel?
Sorry, say that again?
Do your user base stop playing the original version and wait for the new one?
So far we haven't seen any change.
Do you have the in-app purchase?
Yes.
Do this in-app purchase decrease on revenue while you announce the sequel?
Not so far.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think we have running out of time. Thank you, Anna, for everything. Just one more thing.